All right, understanding decimal column addition worked example. So any one of the modules that has understanding in it means that you're going to have to do that bit where you write out what you're doing each step of the way. So this is like step 1, step 2, and they've actually normally got an example over here to the left of what it should look like. And you just write what you did each step. So the important one to getting this one right is to set yourself up well. So to set myself up well, what I'm going to do is I am going to label my columns. And what I mean by that is I'm going to say, draw some little lines like this. So I always know what column I'm working in. Now we'll start with the easy one. This column here is the units. This column here will be the tens. This column here is tenths, or 1 over 10 we sometimes call that. This column here will be the hundredths, or 1/100th of a 1. So if we broke a unit into 100 parts, that's what column that is. And then lucky last, we have the thousandths. So that column is 1,000th the size of the units column. All right, step 1, that is label my columns. So this way, I know where I am going each step of the way. Next step that I need to do is that I have to work out where I'm going to start and where I'm going to go to. So I'm going to start over here on the right, because when I add things up, sometimes I end up with more than 10 of something, and that means that I have to put one lot of that into the column beside it. And finally, I have another little step I'm going to sneak in just to set myself up. I've labeled my columns, I'm pretty good to go, but I really want to drum home the point that there is 0 thousandths in this column. So this number here, 6.7, that's saying there's 6 units, 7 tenths, 0 hundredths, and 0 thousandths. So that will definitely help me. All right, now I'll pick a different colored pen. Starting from the right-hand side, starting over here. I don't know if I said left before. Maybe got that muddled. Anyway, let's go. So I start in this column, the furthest one to the right, and then I just say what I'm doing each time. So this one, I will have 0 thousandths, because it's this column here. See how I've labeled my column? I can see pretty easy what I'm doing. And plus 3 thousandths. And that will equal 3 thousandths. And this equals part is always what they put down. So you can see on this one here where they've put down 0, I could nearly go straight there and just put that 0 straight away, 0 hundredths, I'm in the hundreds column there, but I won't. I'll go through the steps again. All right, so step 1 is done. This column here is done and dusted. That means I'm on to this column here, and this column here is my hundredths column. So if I'm in the hundreds column, and remember I'd filled in my zeros there, so I've got 0, and even though they're zeros, we have to put them in each time. 0 hundredths plus 0 hundredths equals 0 hundredths. Well, that was a worthwhile section. But what's important here is that I've now put a 0 in there. So I'm not going to get muddled up with my place value. I'm not going to leave anything out, because I don't want leave that column blank, because then my thousands will be in the hundreds column and everything will mark up. All right, let's go on to the next one because I want to keep this kind of short. I'm now in, so I've done this column, tick, done this column, tick. Now I'm into this column here, and this column here is my tenths column. So let's write down the numbers that we've got. We've got 7 tenths. And this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. Plus 5 tenths equals 7 plus 5 is 12 tenths. And oh no, I can't put a 12 in this column, can I? Because I only ever put one number there. So that means I have to break it up into 2 parts. So if I have 12 in my tenths column, that means I've got like a 10 there and a 2 there. That would be 12. Now I can put the 2 down, but I can't put the 10 down, so I have to shift it across to the column beside it, and that 10 becomes part of the units column. So to write that out, I'll break it into 2 parts. 10 tenths. Oops, sorry. They've just gone straight to breaking it down in this one. So I will have 2 tenths and 1 unit. So it shifts across into that column into the left, and that's what's happened up here. So I've put the 1 down there. That means it's now in the units column. And then I just say carry the 1. Cool. That column's done. Now we're in this column here. This is my units column. So I remember what it is, and I've got to remember that I just carried 1 over there, so I've got to count it in my thing as well, which is why I've got 3 numbers here to do. Start at the top. 1 unit plus 6 units plus 3 units equals 6 plus 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10 units equals, so you can see here they've put 10 units equals 0 units and 1 10, because we can only ever put one thing in the column. So I have to put that one across the other side. And that's that one done.